Thanks for taking the time, Coach. Would you like to open this up today or jump into questions?
Good.
Sounds good. And with that, guys, if you would, please use the raise hand button. And if someone would like to start us off, the floor is open. Someone would like to start us off, guys, the floor is open. Go ahead with a question.
Matt, how did Sam look in practice today? And I guess the plan is definitely going forward, correct?
Yeah, Sam's ready to play this week. Had a good practice out there today.
Hey, Matt, something I don't think we ever followed up with you. When Christian and Dante went on IR, there was a possibility, I think, that either one of them might need surgery. Was that the case with either of those guys, Matt?
Christian did not have surgery. Dante did have surgery.
Do you know kind of what the timetable was or is for that and what was involved?
I don't know if I feel comfortable saying too much, to be honest with you. I haven't talked to Dante about it, but it's not, not real long. I think Dante was like a total of like 6 weeks or something, so it was nothing that's, should impede him in the future, and Christian's was non-surgical.
Let's go to Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Matt, you guys brought in Tuyati Mariner from the Steelers. Are you expecting him to get any type of a run this Sunday, or you just kind of get in here to get a look at him?
He's a player we liked. We had the availability for him. We practiced him today to get him ready. We're still sort of going through, the whole COVID thing, in terms of guys potentially being down. So, just like Azure last week, we got those guys in. We have them getting trained, so we have them as needed. But he's a good player we like that on tape, active, and thought it was a good opportunity to get a guy like that in here.
Any more questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, you got Hassan off the COVID list today. Do you expect him to go this Sunday? He's going to be good.
Yeah, we got Hassan off, got a couple other guys off, and Hassan should be ready to go. He practiced today, so.
Any more questions for Coach?
Matt, I know this is a you're always trying to win every game, but I mean, you also using this this week as a chance to see some of these younger guys, see what they can do moving forward.
Yeah, I just think with kind of where our roster is, especially you obviously saw, a couple of receivers that didn't practice. I mean, we're kind of, even last week we're playing everybody. It's an all hands on deck, situation for the last 2 weeks. So, so I think that naturally has allowed us to get a lot more, opportunities to see guys. We definitely do want to win the game. I mean, to have a chance to have played and beaten all three NFC South teams, that's something that we take very seriously. We split versus the first two, so we'd like to go get a win against Tampa Bay. Obviously, the great team that they are, but I think Steve, we're having a chance to see a lot of guys anyway. Brady's we're getting a chance to see his development at left tackle. So I think the situation has allowed both those initiatives to align.
Let's go to Will Pelagic, followed by David Newton.
You touched on it briefly there, Matt, in terms of Brady at left tackle. With this kind of 3-week stretch of him being a starter, how good of an idea are you getting now of his ability at that particular position?
I think we're getting a good picture of it. I think we were pleased. I think I said after the game on Monday, I think we were pleased with the growth from the Tampa game to the New Orleans game. It's a whole different deal being in a dome, on the road, silent count. I thought he certainly held his own, and it also shows him the things he needs to work on, to improve moving forward. So, but I've been pleased with where he's at, and this week he has a chance to now go back. Obviously Tampa has great rushers, has a chance to go back and play guys that he played 2 weeks ago, and watch that tape and try to improve.
And just kind of more on Terrace's injury, do you kind of know when that happened and what's the deal with him?
His is just a stress reaction from overtime. So it wouldn't be anything super long term, but it's just long enough that, it requires IR. He just can't play through it.
So it's fair to say that's something that developed over time.
That developed over time. Yeah. It wasn't like a one-time incident. It's just a stress reaction over time.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt, you were mentioning, I guess on Monday, whatever, just that the team played hard and you felt like that was a sign of a good locker room. Have you ever been a part of a team where the locker room's been divided, and just how does that look from a coach's standpoint?
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know that I've ever been a part of a terrible. When I first got to Baylor, there was a lot of probably division in the locker room, and I think you can just sense a toxic environment, or guys doing the bare minimum. But I've been pleased with our locker room. Obviously, no one's happy with the results. So I mean that speaks for itself. But I think guys genuinely enjoy each other. I think they have good relationships with the coaches and the staff, good relationships with the strength staff and the training staff. I think I hope that they feel like everyone that comes to work here is here to help the players be their best. So we can't eat together anymore, David, but when I used to walk in the lunchroom when you could eat together, you saw all different guys of different positions and ages all together. So, I sat there. I spent probably about 45 minutes on the field with Christian before the game, kind of talk about the state of the state. And, he's someone obviously that I trust, and he's someone that I know is not afraid to speak his mind. And I think there's a lot of guys here that feel really good about the locker room and where we're headed and all those things. But we got to win a game. So that's at the end of the day, that's really all it's about, is winning. But I think the guys have even today at practice, they've given us good work every day.
Get it. Thanks.
Let's go to Joe Person, followed by Jonathan Alexander.
Matt, would you consider playing any other quarterbacks this week in addition to Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. We just got PJ back today from COVID, but Cam, we have Cam ready, and so what that looks like exactly, we'll kind of, obviously we'll kind of keep under wraps a little bit, because the benefit of someone having to prepare for 2 or 3 guys helps us. But yeah, we would have no problem playing two guys. Either of those guys, I think they've all worked hard and deserve a chance to show what they can do.
And then wondered what happened to make you put Cam on IR.
Just that the calf hasn't gotten better. They PRP'd it last week, and then just I think Scott talked to I think Kevin talked to him on Monday, and just still wasn't 100% ready to go. And so obviously season coming to an end, if he's not going to be able to play, Scott went ahead and talked to him and made that move.
Hey man, I'm wondering, do you have a general sense of whether Stephon, or I know you talked a little bit about it Monday, Stephon and Robbie would be available on Sunday?
Robbie's going to do everything he can this week to be available for Sunday. I think it's kind of like DJ was, Jonathan, a couple weeks ago, where it's like, hey, we'll have to wait and see. Stephon's trying. I probably don't have as much confidence in, because that's just, he has a bigger injury. But they're both trying to be ready for Sunday. So we'll wait and see if they can get there, and if not, we'll play with the other guys.
And also, in determining, Brady Christensen, where he fits, whether that's left tackle or at guard, because that'll have an impact on how you all may draft. What are you looking at, Sunday in terms of Brady, and does that also include what you look at in the past and how he played at other positions earlier in the year?
Yeah, I think we look at the tape. We finished the year. Every coach or the coordinators, write up evaluations of the players, strengths, weaknesses, where they see them, where that they fit. Our personnel department does the same thing. And I think then you begin to slot guys at their best position. And then a lot will also depend on, as you get into free agency and the draft, who else is available, right? So, when you have a guy with versatility, if you have a chance to hit a home run somewhere else, then you take it. But in terms of each specific player, just go off the tape, go back, watch the tape. As you mentioned, we've had a lot of chances to see Brady at different positions throughout the year. Again, it is his rookie year, so we know that there'll be growth. But I think we watched these 3 games specifically, and you go from the New York game he played left tackle to Tampa to New Orleans. You certainly see growth. So we'll do that kind of collectively as a personnel department and coaching staff after the season.
Let's go back to Skylar Callahan, followed by Steve Reed.
Yeah, Matt, you mentioned Kenny Robinson the other day as a guy that's been getting some more snaps with some of the injuries in the secondary. What have you seen from him, and just kind of really since going back to when you guys drafted him? I know he's been on and off the roster a couple of times.
Yeah, Kenny's turned himself into a legitimate safety, a legitimate pro football player. I'm really pleased with his play. You go back and look at his history. He didn't play a ton in college, went to the XFL, came to the NFL. It was in the middle of COVID, had a COVID offseason, was on the practice squad last year, got elevated, came to camp this year, started off, I think, on the practice squad, has been up and down. His physical development, his knowledge of the position, his physicality in the game, they're all starting to really show up. And so he played really well this past week. So I think that position, Jeremy Chin, it's his first year really playing safety. I think after last year playing kind of the nickel backer, growing into the safety position. Kenny growing into it. Miles has played nickel and growing into safety. They're all making a lot of progress. I think Jason Simmons has done a good job with a bunch of young players. But I think the biggest thing with Kenny is he flashes on tape. He is really physical, and he's working on the things he's working on things that he needs to work on to become a complete player.
Hey, Matt, a couple bigger picture questions. I know you're locked into this week, but if you could. If you can try and answer this, in looking back, how much of an impact did not having Christian play in the offense? I know you guys build that, kind of built that offense around him. And secondly, do you feel like the defense has taken a step forward this year under Phil?
Yeah, I don't even think that's a question. I think they went from like 18th to 2nd, And, we went to New Orleans and played in the Dome and, played against Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill and, down J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson and A.J. Boye and Stephon Gilmore and had it, held the 12 points through 3 quarters and had a chance to win and just needed a little help. So I don't think there's any question in my mind how much progress we made on defense. I think Steve offensively, again, I don't want to turn back too much, but, I do think, obviously Christian's one of the top players in the National Football League. I think anytime you lose a guy like that, it's really hard. It's even harder, though, I think, when you lose him, he comes back, you lose, because, when you lose him early and it's for the year, you kind of adjust everything that you're doing. We got him back and then lost him in the Miami game. So we've had to do a lot of adjusting, throughout the course of the year. But that's the league. None of that's an excuse. It's the National Football League. But I certainly, I'm excited to see what the defense has done. And I'll just say this because I want to keep it about right now. Like when I turned on the tape last week, I think Derek Brown. If you look at the second play of the game, it's a screen down the left sideline, and Derek Brown makes a tackle on Kamara out of bounds, 30, 40 yards down the field. So a guy like Derek is really coming into his own right now. Yetor's coming into his own right now. They're playing really good football. I think you saw that from Frankie and several others. So some of the injuries we've had on defense, other guys have had to step up. I think we've certainly had our moments in terms of defending the run, but I was pleased with what I saw last week. We'll just have to keep that going.
We're running tight on time. Let's go to Darren Gant, followed by Ellis Williams.
Matt, how would you quantify kind of the impact Hassan Reddick made on that defense this year and what he brought to the group as a whole beyond just the pass rush?
Well, I think Hassan's physical. He's tough. He plays every snap, plays hard, and obviously he gets to the quarterback. I think his versatility of playing back and defensive end steals you a roster spot. You can go into games. We're fortunate we can go into games with 70 linemen because we're going to get a lot of nickel snaps out of Hassan or out of Frankie. So that provides that provides a roster spot on game day that a lot of teams don't have. So he's a very versatile player and has played well for us.
Coach, you guys have had to play a lot of different guys on the outside at cornerback due to injury, of course. And you mentioned Kenny as a young guy in the secondary who you think is playing well. Can you talk a little bit about Keith and other guys outside on the perimeter that you just your impressions of them as they've gotten more snaps late?
Yeah, I think Keith. I think every day Keith gets a little bit better. He was a guy, Ellis, that played all bump and run at Washington. So now he's had to learn. I mean, we do so many different things. He's had to learn so much, and has grown as a result. He's got great physical skills, with his length and size, and so just being diversified, I think he'll enter this offseason having really grown as a player. Stanley Thomas Oliver, he was on IR there for a little bit. He's really been a special teams player, but he's helped us a ton. CJ, when he's been healthy, has been excellent, I feel like. I talked about Miles, the versatility he gives you of, hey, he can play safety, he can play nickel, he can play corner in a pinch. So that's a young group. A lot of those guys we drafted last year, signed last year, some guys we added this year. That's kind of grown through year two, but Keith, being the one rookie that's still out there playing, I've been pleased with their development, they didn't. It's not like they played all year and got all the snaps. A lot of these guys, like, they were just running down on kickoff while those other guys were playing, and so they've had to learn in the meeting rooms. They've had to learn on the scout teams. They've had to learn just getting mental reps. And to their credit, when their opportunities come, they've all gotten the job done to a certain degree. There's lots of things that those guys have to work on as young players, but I think that having played, they can get there at the end of the season, and whether it's Kenny or Keith or whoever, and go back and say, okay, here's the 2-3 things that I have to improve upon to be a legitimate starter in the National Football League. So I think that that's the benefit of kind of the unfortunate injury situation that we've had, is that a lot of guys have gotten chances to see what it's like as a starter. They enter the offseason knowing where they are and what they need to do.
And then do you feel comfortable with their ability to contribute next season based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think every year we're trying to improve the roster, improve everything. So guys have to always take a step. But I think that those guys are pro football players. What exactly the role will be for them here and all those different things. Time, the off season, free agency, the draft, all those things will determine. But I think when you see the way some of those guys, I don't want to speak on each guy, but some of those guys have played, you feel really good about their futures here.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.